Hello. Thank you to the organizers of the Design Principle and Practices Conference for inviting us to present our topic, Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities, applying Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences to a service learning case study. This study proposes Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences as a tangible solution to enhance students' sustainability competencies and foster behavioral change by deliberately focusing on both the teacher and the student's roles in active learning and evidence-based curriculum. This project represents the work of a team of researchers from the University of North Texas, the first author being Barbara Trappier from the Fashion Design program, the second author being Professor Johnny Stark from the Interior Design program, the third author being Dr. Hae-Jin Gam from the Fashion Design program coordinator, and Dr. Philip Park, a program coordinator of the Interior Design program at the University of North Texas in the College of Visual Art and Design. This presentation will provide an overview of an exploration of sustainable design education curriculum models, learning styles and modalities, and close with our case study example, Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities. The background includes information on the role of the educator, the role of the student, the role of design practice in sustainable design education, and transformative course design. There are three main actors in design education: the teacher, the student, and design practice. Our first portion will discuss the role of the teacher. Educators play a vital role in course design and curriculum strategies, focusing on diverse student experiences. For the role of the teacher, there is emphasis on the delivery of knowledge in the design studio, using a constructivist versus an instructivist approach. In the traditional knowledge model, the instructivist model, shown here on the left in Bloom taxonomy, knowledge is a hierarchy that begins with base level information and then moves up through comprehension, application, and then synthesis, which is different in the design education model, which focuses more on a constructivist approach. Here you can see in the visual diagram on the right, student starts with thinking through an idea, remembering it, applying it through understanding to their project, and then later to evaluate. But in fact, in the constructivist model, students are constantly working through various feedback loops as they move back and forth through this process to create new and more complex projects and design ideas. Design educators apply a range of different pedagogical strategies, most of which are practice-based. Many emphasize cooperative learning approaches, group experiences, experiential learning, hands-on, and are research-based, focusing on participatory action research. The goal of all of these is to amplify the zone of proximal learning. Proximal learning, which was introduced by Vygotsky in his sociocultural theory, is the concept of the space, liminal space between the things that the learner can do on their own versus the things the learner cannot do at all. So that space where they are learning and experimenting and trying new things is what is called the zone of proximal development. For the role of the student, we have different kinds of learning behaviors, learning activities, and learning outcomes. Design students learn through a variety of different kinds of learning styles and modalities, benefiting most from adaptive design teaching strategies. The teacher and the student meet together in discussion of these kinds of roles, amplifying different theories such as Kolb's learning styles, Gardner's multiple intelligences, theory of multiple intelligences, different kinds of active learning modalities, activating their different kinds of perceptual modalities such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning styles, which oftentimes show up in various forms of information such as the Myers-Briggs indicator, where it's talking about different personality styles. Here in this diagram, you can see Kolb's experiential learning theory as it is activated in design education, where students are moving from various cycles of concrete experience, which is hands-on, they're physically making or doing something, reflective observation, where they then present and discuss and think about how their execution, coming up with different kinds of abstract conceptualizations of what they would like to develop, and then experimenting through different modes of creative making. In Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, we have various modes of learning, such as linguistic, musical, bodily, kinesthetic, interpersonal, spatial, which show up in different forms in the design studio. Most important in the design studio is an area known as design practice, whereas the studio acts as kind of a model of what the students will experience in the real world. The place where students meet with design practice focuses on building different kinds of competencies, including the teacher or outside professionals as mentors, whether they're in an internship or an apprenticeship program. Most of the design activities are very experiential, hands-on, and participatory. Oftentimes the student is collaborating with their supervisor or teacher in the development of a particular artifact or project. Here you can see a couple of images from our own design studios, the top being the fashion studio, the bottom left being the interior design studio, the top right being the textile design studio, and the bottom right, the drawing studios. The transformative course design involves all three, the teacher, the student, and the design practice in unison. This is where we activate cooperative learning, experiential learning, participatory design, and action research. So the example that I will be sharing next focuses on a blend of these attributes. In participatory action research, it is a democratic process, meaning collaborative, which brings together both action, reflection, theory, and practice, pursuit of practical solutions for improved outcomes. It focuses on technical, practical, and emancipatory ideas, and the goal is greater self and group understanding. In transformative course design through service learning, we see this sort of participatory design being used with a goal of benefiting the community. In this quote by Alejandro Alvarez Venegas and Luis Volante, which states that universities can leverage changes towards sustainability by educating students to become responsible citizens rather than educating them solely for gainful employment. This idea was the prompt that we introduced the students to when we presented them with the topic, Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities. Service learning also fosters student engagement with local community. It requires a hands-on approach to problem and solving. It takes the students out of their classroom and into the community, applying classroom knowledge to real-world practice scenarios, and cultivates leadership competencies by allowing the students to take the reins and become the owners of their design future. In this case study example, Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities, was a short summer course in our design studio that was a blend of both BFA and MFA design students. The setting was in downtown Denton, Texas, which is a small a North Texan community based on a heritage site. Denton is a very diverse demographic, as you can see in here with some of the data capture from government files on a blend of Hispanic, African American, Asian, multiracial, very diverse community, which is also reflected in the students who participated in this project. This project included students from our BFA program, second year, third year, and fourth year students, and our MFA program. In this project, Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities, we as educators had a 3-week strategy through which to run the students through this educational experience. Week 1 was designed with the theme of explore. This was the week that we trained the students in user experience methodologies, training them on what qualitative research is, engaging them in various forms of concept mapping. We invited them to various observations, rapid ethnography, both on the campus and then in their downtown Denton community, after which they developed various personas of who they saw as their community members and developed some journey maps, narrative storytelling devices, to understand the needs of their community members. Week 2 engaged the students in a create mode where they did data analysis and learned various forms of sustainable development strategies such as a life cycle analysis, circular design methods, zero waste design. And then week 3, the theme was disseminate, meaning get their research out into the world in some fashion. Here we activated Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences throughout the different weekly schedule that we had organized, where in week 1, we activated linguistic methodologies. In week 2, we activated the logical mathematical methodologies. In week 3, we activated both the linguistic and the musical methodologies. For bodily kinesthetic, we used week 2, generate, and week 3, disseminate. For spatial visual, we used week 1 for explore, week 2 for create, and week 3 for disseminate, as was the same for interpersonal. And for interpersonal and for intrapersonal, which focuses more on self-awareness, this was emphasized in week 3, disseminate. And last brings us to the role of the teacher. So that in design practice with a focus on sustainable design development, the teacher is delivering information to the students to help them better understand the sustainable development goals and advances in practice and technology. Here we introduce the students to the various sustainable development goals to give them a better understanding of what particular aspects might be most important or relatively valuable for their community members, whether it was an interest in organic methodologies or fair trade, better working conditions for workers, less toxicity in the environment in which they lived, and other kinds of concerns. Our reason for doing and applying this combined ideas is that teaching sustainability and design education requires a holistic approach. This is based on earlier research that we had developed through literature review and qualitative studies in surveys. Then our last was our focus on design practice and how that was applied in the particular case study scenario. For our students, we introduced them to the XYZ strategy in participatory design, with the student taking charge of considering which particular aspects of the project they wanted to focus on, using the keywords sustainable, design, healthy, communities, and then they discovering what method they wanted to use to determine what outcome they felt would be most valuable for their community members. So the students then created various personas based on who they observed from the Denton Square, and then created various journey maps, which were narrative storytelling devices to discover what the needs for their community members might be, their daily habits. From that, they after each student developed their own persona and journey map, they came together to discuss commonalities. We introduced them to what thematic data analysis is, and from that they coded their ideas in clusters to discover grouped ideas. From that, they also identified a site that they could partner with, which they used as the Greater Denton Arts Council, which was a community arts center that also had very diverse demographics and diverse formatting, such as art exhibitions, workshops, completely open to the public and all ages friendly. From here, the students, through their data analysis, came up with 3 strategies through which to reach the public and achieve their sustainable design for healthy community goals. The first was a classical product design model where the students came up with various sustainably designed products that were low impact, low waste, organic materials, organic dyes, natural dyes, so low impact, low carbon footprint product development team, upcycled materials. The second solution that the students came up with was an educational platform that they designed using a website to reach the public about their sustainability education initiatives. And the third strategy that the students developed was a service design strategy through which they planned to deliver various workshops to reach the community, which included exhibitions of their artifacts. So here in this next slide, you can see on the left, the product development team showcasing some of their product sustainably designed products. In the background are some of the journey maps that they created. On the right, you can see the website development team unveiling or discussing their educational strategy that they were developing for the website. And the third team, the service design team, that created mend and repair workshops and live interactive garments. In conclusion, the Sustainable Design for Healthy Communities project utilized Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences as a comprehensive model for exploring students' sustainability skills in the current educational landscape. This offered a holistic blend of teaching approaches which can enhance a student's competency in sustainable development. This research showcases the potential of service learning in increasing sustainability competencies for positive social change based on the use of Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences to activate student inquiry. The next few slides are some of our references. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. We would be happy to share more information about our work. My name has been Barbara Trappier. I am an assistant designer at the University of North Texas, and we thank the conference organizers for inviting us this evening. Thank you.